Whelan Presley and Van Ho Funeral Homes have been serving Quad City families and veterans for over 100 years. Whelan Presley is located in Rock Island, Milan, Reynolds, and Van Ho in East Moline, proudly supporting WQPT. Alternatives is a proud supporter of WQPT and has been serving our community for 40 years. Alternatives provides professional guidance to maintain independence and quality of life for older adults and adults with disabilities.
Legislation affecting the LGBTQ community. What might be the impact of some new laws in the cities? It's two very different states when it comes to gay rights. Illinois is considered one of the most progressive states on LGBTQ issues, with one of the newest laws going into effect this year, legally protecting school students who suffer trauma due to their sexual orientation and gender identity. Iowa is enacting new laws banning any gender-affirming health care for transgender minors, restricting transgender athletes participating in sports, and banning sexual orientation and gender identity lessons in state classrooms to grade 6. We talked with the executive director of CLOC Incorporated, Chase Norris, about the impact of the new laws and the efforts to protect gay rights. So you have spent this year so far looking at what the Iowa legislature has done. On first blush, did it come as a surprise? I mean, it was pretty well telegraphed that laws regarding transgender youth were probably going to be coming down the pipeline in Iowa anyhow.
I am not shocked because it's Iowa being a red state, but I'm shocked at how fast. And at first, when I heard that there was ideas of this passing, part of me was like, that's not going to happen. But it was also the same feeling with R. V. Wade, where it's like, no, it's not going to go through. But then I'm not shocked anymore because it just keeps passing more and more laws.
So are you surprised also that there wasn't more of an outcry or more of a, because like you said, the speed of the bills passing made it look like there wasn't really very good organized opposition to this?
I feel like people weren't given enough time. And obviously, depending on the state, with majority being more Republican viewpoints, but I guess I didn't realize how fast. You'd hear about it, and then the next day would have been passed, where it's like, whoa, okay, we're moving forward, and just it's something new every week. It seems like. Well,
and you're seeing it in other states too. The legislation is some organizations are finding ways that they're almost blueprinting how legislation's passed in each state.
Yeah, and it's almost like a competition. If one state does something, okay, how can we go above and beyond, and how fast can we do it? And it's ridiculous.
So at this point, though, we're seeing laws being questioned, and Supreme Courts in states like Arkansas, which was one of the first states to have some more restrictive transgender laws. You're seeing the courts in Alabama say, no, this is unconstitutional. Does that seem to be where this fight is all going to end up, is in the courts?
I think so. And I think hopefully other states, it's great that Arkansas is being one of the first states to repeal a bunch of the laws being passed, where it's like, okay, I hope other states, like Missouri's a big one that removed transgender health care for all adults and youth. And it's like, okay, that we're not far from there, and who knows what Iowa has in store. But I'm hoping more and more states have enough people fighting against these to repeal a bunch of the laws.
You are a representative of the whole Quad Cities. You're located on the Illinois side, but let's talk about the Iowa side. What have you heard from the LGBTQ community in the Iowa side?
A lot of panic, a lot of hurt, and a lot of confusion, where those who aren't fully up to speed on what laws are being passed and have been passed, where I have a bunch of youth that have just started their medical transition, and then all of a sudden they're getting emails from Iowa City that you have 100 days and we can't treat you anymore. And then people panicking of, okay, well, I waited all of this time to get to this point to start, and now what? And so then it's finding, thankfully, there's enough resources on the Illinois side, but it's an hour and a half. It's the closest you can go. And it's hit or miss based on their availability, because more and more people from Iowa don't have a choice but to jump ship to go to Illinois, and so then things are booking up fast, and there's not enough people to help with all of the needs.
So you've actually seen people that are Iowa-based that are finding, the solutions that they need in Illinois?
Mm-hmm. Which is good that we're on a bordering state that is very, very supportive of the community, but Chicago and Peoria are the closest.
So what about people moving? Have you seen a bit of a migration?
Yes.
You have?
Yes, and it's unfortunately only for those who can financially afford it, and it's more so parents with youth that they don't want their kids going to middle school, high school in Iowa, and then having to use a different bathroom that they are comfortable with, and being able to use pronouns and outing students. And so a lot more people are jumping to the Illinois side just for their kids' safety.
You kind of look at Iowa and the history, with the Iowa Supreme Court legalizing same-sex marriage, which was groundbreaking at the time. And I know it wasn't legislative, it was through the courts. At that period of time, and you have actually a generation now that's taking that for granted. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that as well. But are you a little surprised that Iowa has the political pendulum has swung the other way, so to speak?
Not necessarily shocked based on it coming up on an election year. And I think that's a big push of why people are trying to push all these things and expressing all of their dislike for the LGBT community, and it's to get those votes. Because I think they're scared because this younger generation is not messing around.
But there hasn't been an organized backlash. You're still expecting that?
I've seen it in a lot of other states, which is great. And I think perks of social media and what it is now, a lot more youth are. I am still shocked because when I was back in high school, I couldn't tell you anything going on in the world, like law-based. And I have some of these high schoolers who are very well up to date on what laws are passing, what they're considering, what this could do for their friends, their peers, themselves. And it's like, good, like you should be aware of what's going on because it is affecting you. And I think now is the time for everyone to come together to stand up, to voice that all of these laws aren't protecting kids. They're harming kids, they're harming adults, they're harming the community. And I think based on these laws, they're going to see a very increase in suicidal ideation and attempts and sadly completion.
Well, and I want to talk about that as well, but let's talk about the generational that's going on, because you think of marijuana laws that have changed because the people that were users are now the legislators.
Yeah.
You're also looking at gender fluidity issues and people in middle school and high school, the high schoolers, all kind of accepting it in ways that was not a generation ago. Do you think that perhaps that's what's going on, is that you're going to have people making these laws, but these people who are growing up now are going to change them in the future?
I think so. And I think a lot of this younger generation is understanding that there's just hate is taught. It's learned. No one is born with hate, and that they're being able to recognize that this isn't okay to do. And once they realize that they have a voice and they can use their voice and have a platform, that's the game changer. And a lot more youth are standing up and doing things about it, where a couple months ago, there was a bunch of school walkouts in Bettendorf. They're not playing around. Not all of those students were LGBT-based. They're allies. They're standing up because they recognize this is just hateful laws, and it's taking away rights.
Take a look from the other side of the river, from Illinois, considered one of the most progressive states and one of the bigger protectors of LGBTQ rights. Is there more that Illinois should be doing?
I think there's always something more that people can be doing, but I think Illinois is doing the best that they can. And it seems like whenever, especially Iowa's passing a law, Illinois is passing something where Pritzker passed a couple months ago, that gender-affirming care and transitioning is hard enough. Let's make it easier. And where there's no question asked if someone's changing their name or their documentation, they will change your gender marker, no questions asked.
Yeah.
And Iowa,
well,
they
also
make it hard.
education.
Yes.
And book bans. Illinois has really passed legislation that's against that as well.
Yes, and there's nothing in those books there's more feelings prompted in a Disney movie than there is in these books that all of these Republicans are banning. And it's just about acceptance. It's really it.
Let's talk about healthcare, because you brought up suicide, and that's such a critically sad part of this whole discussion. What have you been seeing as far as people that have become more depressed or more scared? And how do you combat that if you don't have that supportive family, or if you don't, you haven't come out, so you don't know if you have that support?
And it's all incredibly scary, and it's based on each individual, where the suicide rates were already super high, and then the pandemic hit, those tripled. They were the highest they've ever been, because those who are in homes with unsupportive family and they're not able to go see their peers, go to clock, all of those things, that definitely increases that isolation and prompting a lot more of those feelings. And now that we've been able to, the pandemic has
Subsided.
Yes, and so that's why like our work is so much more important, because everything we offer at Clock, even just coming in and sitting down, having a safe space, is life-saving. And so especially for all of our youth, like we try to do our best to accommodate ways so that everyone is able to come to our groups, finding ways. We hook people up with like carpooling options, just to be able to have, being surrounded by people of your same identity is huge. Just knowing you're in a supportive place, especially for those in Iowa who don't feel comfortable going to their school's GSA or talking openly with their friends and family. Like, perks of the name, if you don't know what we are, you don't need to know. And so kids can, hey, I'm going to Clock. It's discreet. You don't need to know. And that way it's not, you'll never see rainbow flags outside of our door, like, because we are a safe space and we're trying not to make ourselves a target.
What programs do you have that you're particularly proud of, particularly for LGBTQ youth?
We definitely, our biggest, out of all of our support groups that we offer, I think we have 7 or 8 right now. Our most attended and most frequent is our high school group. And it started with 5 kids asking for Clock to make that happen. And then now I have on average about 20 to 30 high schoolers that, I have a high schooler that comes all the way from Morrison every week. I've got those coming from Iowa City, Peoria, it's us in Center and Halstead in Chicago, nothing in Iowa. Like, we reach a huge demographic.
I noticed also you have a middle school support group. I mean, that's an area that you're going after as well.
Yes. And at first it was just an overall youth group, but then I was getting a lot of 12-year-olds, which isn't necessarily as appropriate to have a 11 and 12-year-old with a 17-year-old. And it's just different conversations, which our middle school group actually has a lot more sensitive topics that they're bringing up. And it's because it's important. They don't feel comfortable talking to their parents about it. They have a safe space to do that with our location and our group leader and everything involved. And so having more of their age, which I get to make that call. Like, I have a couple 8th graders who come to our high school group because they're not at the same level as a 6th grader or a 5th grader. And so we're very accommodating.
Because you talk about it, that it's a safe place and it's a place for them to grow. There's others that might say that you're grooming. You've heard the term constantly. Tell me why you don't think that's what's going on.
I can't tell anybody how they identify who they are. I'm never pushing anyone. It's not like I get a free toaster oven for the 7th person I convert. Like, that's not it. I've been out in public. I've had people come up to me talking, let's talk about Jesus. I've had people come and knock on my door. I've never had anybody approach me asking me to go to a drag show, asking me to transition, asking me to understand more of the LGBT community. No one's doing that. We're just being visible, and that's what's bothering people who are not supportive, and it's lack of education.
And education is key, because because I'm still on the topic of healthcare, just to let you know, is that there are, AIDS is still out there, sexually transmitted diseases are still out there, and it's kind of a generational period, because during AIDS, people were wearing condoms, people were being super safe. Now it's less so. Some might say it's a little more reckless. Where does Clock come in on that as far as healthcare is concerned, and to make sure that people stay physically safe as well as mentally?
We partner very well with the Project of the Quad Cities, and they do amazing work with where we do as much as we can, minus the healthcare aspect. That's where the project flourishes, and we have all of their stuff. We have condoms located in 4 different parts of our center. We have all of their brochures, information, as soon as you walk in the door. Like, we are very upfront about, hey, you have options here. Let's be safe about what the choices you're making, because there's consequences to every action. And we want to make sure that they're good consequences.
You look back, and it was in 2015 where the Advocate magazine called Davenport the 9th queerest city in America. That's 2015. and a lot has happened in Iowa since 2015. Do you think Davenport would still make that list?
I don't know if we would make that list now, but I'm still always shocked at how large of an LGBT community we have in the Quad Cities. And every time there's a Pride event and we're out in the community having a booth, it's like, oh, I didn't know you guys existed. It's like, we didn't know you existed. And it's like, people interact so regularly with those in the LGBT community, and they just don't know it. And it's like, majority of people, if you don't know how I identify, if you saw me out in public, probably just thinking I'm short. Like, you're not thinking that I'm a member of that community or that I've transitioned. Like, you're just seeing me as me. And a lot of people who aren't as supportive, it's just lack of education, and they have no idea. But once they would find out about me, they would have an issue then. It's like, but you didn't beforehand.
So do you consider the Quad Cities a safe place?
I do. Realistically, I think there's some locations that are a lot more supportive. I think we're very supportive over on the other side of the river, but we definitely, like, I've not heard many negative things about. We have so many supportive businesses, small businesses, larger communities that are very supportive of the community. Davenport just had at their last city hall meeting, like, they acknowledged Pride Month. Like, they didn't have to do that. Rock Island and Moline have, for the past 3 or 4 years, publicly displayed pride flags that we donated to each city every year during Pride Month. Like, we're here, we have support here, and it's awesome to see.
Why do you think that is? I mean, because you can't take that for granted.
I'm always very grateful to find those in the community that are supportive, and I think we have a long way to go, but especially on the Illinois, I mean, Rock Island has welcomed us and has done everything in its power to keep us there for the past 4 years, and we have no desire to leave. And Moline's been awesome. They've done everything that they can to help publicly show that they are supportive of the community. And even if it's something as simple as a pride flag, somebody's going to see that flag and know that they're in a safe city.
Do you feel any type of backlash so far? I mean, because if you're seeing the Iowa legislature making these changes, you know that there's people that support that very much so. I mean, have you witnessed that, or have you encountered a greater opposition to some of the work that you do?
We do, and it's not, I'm very grateful that it's not as frequent, but we have gotten emails, we have gotten phone calls, and we smile and nod and thank you for expressing your opinion, and we're going to keep moving forward, or we're going to keep doing what we're doing. But a lot of those people actually don't actively live in the Quad Cities anymore.
Yeah. Tell me about we're going to keep doing, how do you see CLOC growing?
Oh, I mean, each month we get, even just looking at our support groups, more and more attendance. I mean, from moving to our location, because at first we were down by the Arsenal River or Bridge, and now we're down by the Rock River. And I had 15 to 20 in the first 3 months, new high schoolers come to group. Like, we're always getting more and more people, and the whole aspect is, it's not my center chairs. What aren't we providing? What do you feel is a need? Our job's to make that happen, and we've yet to turn down any suggestion of a group, a program, an idea. We want to include those in the community. It's their center.
I had forgotten that you had moved. I mean, that's been a major growth factor for you, and you're able to offer more and to more people. How has that center really changed you?
Oh, I mean, just being able to offer 2 groups at the same time.
Yeah.
At our old space, which I absolutely loved, it was hard to leave, but I couldn't even have a client in a group going at the same time. And now I can have 2 groups. I can have a meeting and a client all at the same time just because of the space.
Is that where you see the expansion really growing? Is some of these not only one-on-one, but support groups and things along those lines?
Oh, yes. And there's 2 staff, and we have a great board of directors, and we have awesome volunteers, but there's only 2 people there every day, and so there's only so much we can do. But even expanding groups to having different time options, sometimes that's not always doable for people to, if people work second shift, they can't come to group.
Right.
But having the availability and the people, but that takes money, which is not easy in today's world.
It's always something that's going to be a challenge.
Yes.
Tell me about your advocacy efforts, because like you said, there are Pride Weeks, there are events that are held. What have you been doing to try to better get the word out, so to speak?
We're always very upfront in the community, where we do a lot of, even if it's not LGBT-based events, like people call us, hey, do you want a booth? Do you just want us to have brochures of your stuff? Just letting people know you're out there. And so we're going to speak to different schools, we do our training has definitely taken off in the last couple of years, and so we're actively doing trainings for small businesses, groups, schools, large organizations, just getting the word out there, and we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because, I mean, you've heard there's some pushback against DEI initiatives, diversity, equity, and inclusion, because that was a real growth area for human services. I was trying to say public services, human service groups, and human relations inside of companies. Are you doing that more? Is that you're helping in the DEI for public groups and even for private companies?
It's usually the DEI groups that are prompting getting the trainings approved. And it's a lot of those communities working together to being able, school's hard, especially on the Iowa side.
Right.
I've had a lot of different school counselors who will come together, and we have to have the training at clock off their time because their school did not approve it, but they feel it's a super need to be able to help their students and their clients. And so we've had to do it off of their site, off of their time, so that way they're not in trouble.
Because, I mean, education, because every time I think of education, it'd be like a booth or something like that. But actually, to talk directly to the counselors is so critically important, because how can they help the public if they don't know what they're talking about?
Yeah, and it's also being aware of where you're getting your information online. It could be, if it's not a credible source, you could be unintentionally harming any of your clients or your youth by just where you got your information.
It is such a sensitive time, and the road that you're traveling is very scary for some kids. For the kids that are out there that might be watching this, or parents of these kids, what would you tell them right now?
Do your research, make some phone calls, just ask the questions, get your information. The more you're educated, the more you realize there's nothing going on. Like, you can help your kids, but by not being educated and not learning more, I mean, I learn something new every day, whether it's something simple or a fun fact from a client or something going on in the world. Like, you can always use more education, and it makes things less scary.
I'd assume that you also want to point out you are a safety net. I mean, you're not you're not alone. There is help out there. You can, I hate to say, you can say anonymous, but I mean, you don't have to come out, so to speak, to get help.
Oh yeah, and I've had kids come to our high school group that are just allies, and they're like, am I allowed to come? It's like, yeah, the kids are gonna think more about what video game you're playing than how you identify. As long as you are supportive and you're respecting others, no one cares. Like, if you need a safe space, CLOC's for you.
Our thanks to Chase Norris, who's the executive director of CLOC Incorporated. Laura Adams is getting ready for the start of July, but she also has some great ideas for you as she gets ready to close out June while going out and about.
This is Out and About for June 30th through July 7th. The John Deere Classic returns to TPC Deere Run July 5th through 7th, while Red, White, and Boom, complete with fireworks display, returns to downtown Rock Island and Davenport for the annual event July 3rd from 5 to 10:30. Tunes in Town, a 4th of July celebration with Dance the Night Away Productions, takes place in DeWitt's Lincoln Park on the 4th from 10:45 to 1. And Geneseo City Park hosts Kiwani's Pork in the Park the 4th from 11 to 2. Annie Wittenmeyer Family Aquatic Center hosts a 4th of July celebration from 1 to 7. Or join the Peace, Love, Bloom Festival at the Isabel Bloom Store the 30th from 4 to 7. On stage, the musical Mamma Mia finishes their run at Circa 21 on the 8th. The musical Title of Show kicks off their run at the Black Box Theater on July 6th. And Countryside Community Theater's production of Footloose takes place in Eldridge at North Scott High School through July 9th. The Spotlight Studio present comedy sports every Friday and Saturday at 7. The Bass Street Landing Summer Concert Series present Levittown the 6th from 6 to 9, while Kiwani Concerts in the Park at Veterans Park performs the 6th at 6:30. Or grab your lawn chair for the Railside Music Series at Poor Brothers on the 1st and 8th. For more information, visit wqpt.org.
Thank you, Laura. Murray Lee heads the band Murray Lee and the Sons of Hades. He's actually been part of a number of area bands and plays a number of different instruments. We invited him to take the stage at the Black Box Theater in Moline to perform one of his originals. So here's Murray Lee with Little Victories.
I didn't just made a perfect cup of coffee. Sometimes it's all about those little victories, oh yeah. My bills are overdue. My bank account is overdrawn. But I think that I just met someone. Sometimes it's all about little battles that are won, oh yeah. Yeah, winning big sure would be nice, but worrying about it will put your heart on thin ice. At least I'm not 6 feet underground. Sometimes it's all about not beating yourself down. Now I've got pretty cushy job, and it pays like a low budget lottery. But I still crave that perfect cup of coffee. Yeah, it's still all about those little victories. Oh, it's still all about those little victories.
Murray Lee with Little Victories. He just released a new track you can hear on Spotify or wherever you listen to your music. It's called Arrows, the Elation of Hermes. It's just out. On the air, on the radio, on the web, on your mobile device, and streaming on your computer. Thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
Whelan Presley and Van Ho Funeral Homes have been serving Quad City families and veterans for over 100 years. Whelan Presley is located in Rock Island, Milan, Reynolds, and Van Ho in East Moline, proudly supporting WQPT. Alternatives is a proud supporter of WQPT and has been serving our community for 40 years. Alternatives provides professional guidance to maintain independence and quality of life for older adults and adults with disabilities.